let's talk about Sneakerella. You know, if I had to guess, I think Cinderella is the most adapted story to film of all time, at least as basic inspiration. You know, basic inspiration as in because, you know, everyone knows Cinderella, so others can hopefully make a new one and say they did it better. The basic fairy tale Cinderella is fine, I guess. I'm not really into fairy tales, so I don't even know the rankings. I mean, I'm 18, so why would I, you know, care? But it never really occurred to me since there was already another Cinderella movie last year, which is as bad as you might have heard, but I do believe they meant well compared to this one, where I don't care to be any way defensive because I hate this film so much. I said this before, but honestly, my favorite movie version of Cinderella was Ever After from 1998, which did feel like what would be the most realistic version of the story during that time period and how it would actually play in reality. You know, minus Leonardo da Vinci, because he was in there for some reason, but that's not the point. The point is, I don't care for the fact we'll probably keep getting new movie versions out of this story, but I didn't see the trailer for this. I went in this with an open mind, and I'm mad now. Okay, so the movie was directed by Elizabeth Allen Rosenbaum, who does an alright job as a director, but the movie is ruined because of its teleplay written by 5 people! The movie is a modern reimagining of Cinderella because, you know, reasons. It does huge things by elevating the story by really focusing on sneakers. Yeah, they really fail in trying to make the main character a guy who wants to design sneakers the way, you know, a chef in a movie would probably prepare food, for example. You know, the thing where it's like, you really get why the chef cares about, you know, making food. I couldn't care less here about this guy making shoes. I should also say this is also a Disney Plus exclusive movie. And I had gone on before in my Better Nate Than Ever review on camera about my hatred of Disney Plus exclusive films such as Artemis Fowl, The Secret Society of Singapore Royals, and The Cheaper by the Dozen remake. And this one is also terrible. But I'm getting sadly ahead of myself. So with all that said, what is the actual movie about? So, the main character is a sneaker designer named Elle, played by Chosen Jacobs. That name sounds familiar. He was Mike Hanlon from It, who lives in Queens and works as a stockboy for his late mother's shoe store run by his stepfather, played by Bryan Terrell Clark. Along with the other employees, being Mike's stepbrothers, one with glasses and one without glasses. I don't remember their names and I don't care to look up. But anyways, they always force upon Elle their responsibility, especially the day the movie begins on, where Elle is supposed to meet with his friend Sami, played by Devyn Nekoda, to go to a shoe drop, part of a brand for a major basketball player. Once there, though, they meet Kira, and Elle shows off his knowledge for shoes to impress her, and the two have, you know, good chemistry, but Elle has to run off before stepfather finds out. And what a shame he didn't get to her contact information, since he doesn't know yet she's actually the daughter of the famous basketball player. The odds? I don't know. And as the family works together on the shoe design to present that Sneaker Con, I didn't even know this was a thing until I looked it up. And she thinks Elle would be a great designer. No, seriously, Sneaker Con, that's a thing? I mean, they can have a convention for anything, so who am I to judge? I'm just... I don't know. Right, where it's like, oh yeah, and she thinks Elle would be a great designer for his shoe against what marketing people let by her older sister Liv, played by Robyn Alomar, who wants them to use the ones they spent a ton of time and money on because reasons I already forgot. But she likes Elle since they spent the day together and have slight chemistry. So before SneakerCon, there's a gala for sneaker designers or whatever, and instead of a fairy godmother who helps them get there, is this guy named Gustavo who might have magical powers. I'm not sure. It's never explained. But one thing leads to another. You know, Cinderella story, blah, 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 and the movie. I'm pissed. Okay, I'm pissed! Look, you know, this movie actually reminds me of a movie that came out 10 years ago. Rags, which was a Nickelodeon TV movie that was also, you know, gender switch. Took place in modern day New York, and was also a musical. And you know what? It was better than this movie. Apparently the Disney Channel produced the film, so why isn't this a Disney Channel movie? If it were, I wouldn't even give it a chance. I don't know why I'm supposed to think of these movies. And even if you just say, oh, it's just for kids, I wouldn't want kids to watch this. I wasn't a big fan of Better Nate Than Ever due to its simplified message of a, you know, determination can make your dreams come true when the main character doesn't face consequences for anything done wrong along the way. But here, it's much worse. Elle feels worried when Kira sees him wear his own sneakers he designed for the gala, which how he gets in without buying a ticket, because somehow Gustavo gives him one and Sami two, 2 tickets out of nowhere. So she suggests he could be the guy, or whatever they're looking for, and when rumors at this gala suggest he might be some big time designer, he feels pressure to just say he is this big shot, and I'll kind of give the movie this. It's not exactly what you expect from Cinderella, where the prince doesn't know she's a peasant or whatever. He runs out before midnight, just say he has to be home by midnight for no reason other than because, it's Cinderella. He leaves one of his sneakers, and despite the fact she knows the neighborhood he lives on, she does a huge media campaign to find him when she could just go back to that neighborhood and ask around people. She knows, or, he knows where he would probably be. Like, it wouldn't be that hard to track this guy down. Here's our place. I'm getting too angry. Oh yeah, where was I? Anyways, the stepbrothers want to leave Queens and go back to New Jersey. And since the sneaker store isn't doing well, the stepfather wants to sell it, but if Elle makes the sneaker deal, this could ruin their chances of leaving. So over becoming, rich through nepotism, because, these guys are so great, I wouldn't expect them to want money over, going home. Wait, I'm so confused now. Where am I? Oh yeah, they decide to sabotage his meeting by revealing to the basketball player ahead of time he's a nobody stockboy and not a professional, which ruins his chances. Which, honestly, despite him not meaning to do wrong, he did say he was a professional. And no, I don't care if he felt pressured into saying that. This kid who's so good, yeah, he's like the narrator's like, oh, he's such a good kid. He lied about having professional experience for a professional brand. But because people from his neighborhood help him make the shoes for the brand, we never see him say thank you to them. Actually, I don't even remember the last time he says anything to them on screen. He presents them to the basketball player, gets redemption. I don't care though. He learns nothing. He lied. He went to apologize during a major marketing campaign live, and everything is resolved for him like it was nothing. Nate did the same thing in the other film I mentioned, but I don't know. That movie didn't treat its audience like idiots. I don't know how to explain this. The movie gives off the impression that you can easily be forgiven for your one mistake, when it's not that. You actually have to learn from failure and improve. But his stepfamily is terrible, so I have to feel bad for this kid, right? Look, I didn't dislike the character. Joseph Jacobs is a good lead and plays the character alright, but it's the execution and choices that made the movie a problem. His brothers, stepbrothers, force him to do work at the store on his day off, and his stepfather doesn't care. But his stepfather makes it clear it might not be fair, but that's life. And yes, there's an arc by the end of the stepfather appreciating stuff, which was a little nice. But everything else, ugh. Now, to talk about the music. The music in this movie is awful. It's obviously dubbed, which I know they don't sing this live, but it's so clearly auto-tuned. It doesn't sound like these people are actually singing this music. And the music itself sounds like rejected Lin-Manuel Miranda songs. Like, it feels like I'm watching a crappy In the Heights. Anyways, the movie isn't annoying to look at, though. I'll say this. Since visually it's pleasing to the eye, with many scenes where the lead's imagination comes to life. But there are also times it doesn't work. Such as a pointless song about him missing his mom with a flashback, when it's already established how much he missed her. It bothers me since this movie is an hour and 50 minutes long. And going back to the message, Kira just wants to prove herself, but I don't care if you think Elle's shoes look cool, which they don't, they glow. Who cares? Like, he goes to this stupid gala and everybody's like, oh my god, did you see this guy's shoes? This guy's amazing. Who's his sponsor or advertiser or whatever? It's like, why would you think these shoes look cool? I'm sorry, it bothers me. Okay, I'm moving on. Liv put the actual time and money into finding what would actually be bestsellers. And just because you think they're basic doesn't make you an expert on what most people want. Sometimes marketing knows what most people want. Not everyone will like it, but it never says that the actual time and money that goes into marketing is anything fruitful. It really bothers me that way. I really want to hate this movie so much for its terrible music and awful message, but it does have moments I like, the visuals and some character interactions, but there are also awful visuals, like having the shoelaces of Kira and Elle twirl together, like shoelaces having a mind of their own. You know, maybe I'm not into sneakers as much as ever, since I never gave into the thought of how cool sneakers could be before. And this movie did not convince me of that. I just put on shoes to wear, so I have shoes to wear. But it's an art form for people who look down at your shoes and think that means you know who they are. Like, the league does a certain scene which is meant to come off charming, but in something like Wonder, which has a one sentence about Augie saying you can tell someone by their shoes, where here, he's a psychic. Again, with the other problems, I don't care to offend. I admit, I like certain stuff about the movie. But what it gets wrong is definitely wrong and a bad message for kids. It didn't need to be a Cinderella story, which they actually say it's a real-life Cinderella movie. Or, no, it's a real-life Cinderella story in a throwaway line. I think this could have been an okay modern drama, but half the music in this movie is forced, and all the singing is terrible because of the auto-tune. And again, I wasn't a big fan of the singing, better than ever, but they actually could, you know, sing. And worst of all in this movie, they actually mess up a color keying effect, where not only are there awful CGI land shots in New York, but they actually mess up color correcting an autumn tree to summertime. It is amazing they didn't care enough to catch this! Also, lots of the lines are awful and cringy. And that's this movie. It is bad. But what do I know? You know, okay? Apparently everyone on Rotten Tomatoes like this with 100%, so what do I actually know? Okay, so I know this might have sometimes swing visuals to the eyes, a decent cast, and sometimes it is trying, but not trying enough to be, you know, not an insulting bad taste in my mouth. And it deserves its own shoe up its ass! I mean, it's a movie, so it can't actually do that. Like, I could do that to the people who made this movie, but then, you know, that's just rude. But that's not the point. This movie's awful, and I want you guys to get that. I'm angry and tired. I give Sneakerella a 3 out of 10.